Hello, and welcome to our press conference here at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. My name is Keith Wingard, and I am the Strategic Partnerships Manager with Solar Cookers International. We will be talking today about the topic of solar cooking, particularly as a form of gender empowerment. And we'll be talking a little bit about our organization, Solar Cookers International, and we'll also be asking a few questions of someone who has spent some time living at one of the areas where Solar Cookers International has a program at the Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya. Ooh, that's the wrong button. There we go. To begin, as I mentioned, my name is Keith. I'm also joined today by the Program and Science Director for Solar Cookers International, Alan Bigelow. And I'm also joined by the founder and executive director of Root of Generations, Grace Durong. So to begin, I want to ask Alan, can you please share a little bit more about Solar Cookers International and how SCI works?
Thank you, Keith. It's a pleasure to be here today. And I've been with Solar Cookers International for a few years, starting in 2016. We're based in Sacramento, California. SCI, Solar Cookers International, is a non-for-profit organization that promotes solar thermal cooking worldwide in places where there is greatest need. And the solar cooker is a very simple device that collects sunlight, it absorbs sunlight, typically onto black cookware or black insides of a solar oven. And that is where the magic happens, I like to say sometimes, where the energy of sunlight is transformed to thermal energy. And that's it. Next, we need to retain that heat, so thermal insulation, and you have your food inside your cooker, and it's easy, it's efficient, it's safe and sustainable. At SCI, our mission is primarily to improve the economic situation, the health, and the environment, primarily in areas where there's greatest need. So vulnerable communities and areas where there has been severe deforestation, but also abundant sunlight. So those are the opportunities that we look for. We have 3 different types of solar cookers that we consider. And on the slide, you can see a reflective panel cooker, a box oven, and a parabolic cooker. And they function in similar ways, but they have different capacities. Some can get to low temperatures where you can cook, do some slow cooking, but others can cook at high temperature. There are complementary solutions as well, because solar cooking is an integrative solution. It needs to be combined with other cooking solutions. So the heat retention basket is one of those. We also promote water pasteurization. In addition to the many models of these 3 basic types, there are a few other types that are coming out. And SCI is not a manufacturer, but we like to promote all types of solar cookers that the solar cooking sector develops. So you see some using Fresnel lenses, Fresnel mirrors, evacuated tubes, and even institutional cookers, so rooftop systems on schools or hospitals or temples where many people can be fed food that is cooked with energy from the sun, with free energy from the sun. Okay, so there you have it. That's the basics behind what SCI is and what we do. We generally work with local collaborators in countries where we do have the greatest opportunities to further this technology in the clean cooking space.
SCI pursues its mission primarily through three strategic areas. First, through advocacy, so coming to events like this, where we can talk about what solar cooking is and share more about the kinds of impacts that solar cooking can have in communities that are dependent on burning biomass fuel for cooking purposes. We also do research. We've developed what we refer to as the performance evaluation process, to assess the standard cooking power in watts, which aligns with ISO standards. And finally, we have a capacity building component where we work directly with partners in countries around the world to initiate pilot projects or demonstrate the kind of impact that solar cooking can have in these communities. One of those examples is at the Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya, which is where we'll be focusing next. So my next question, I wanted to bring Grace into the conversation here. Grace, thank you for joining us for this press conference to highlight the gender implications in particular of cooking with polluting fuels and technologies. I just mentioned that SCI does have a program at the Kakuma refugee camp. After fleeing conflict in your home country of South Sudan, you arrived at the Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya. Can you please tell us about your experience living there?
Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon. I was displaced from my homeland and grew up in Kakuma refugee camp from the age of 7. And when I was there, the experience I could vividly remember is how, as a young child, sometimes spending days without food. And by that time, I couldn't understand much why we couldn't eat at some point. But I remember the complaints I could get is that sometimes there is no source of fuel to cook the food. By that time, this was reference to firewood because the UN agencies used to give bundles of firewood. So a bit of like 3 pieces per household. And this sometimes can even, without looking at the health implications of this, could finish even before the food finishes. So you find that you might be having the flour to cook, but then the source of fuel is finished. Then after that, considering now the fact that there was a lot of coughing in our house, and my mom, I remember, my auntie was diagnosed with a chest problem. And that was the time I got to understand that these feelings, these consequences of chest and all those kind of complications have been acquired there. Then I didn't know much as a child, but those are the experiences that I could have, not having food. And sometimes I remember I had that like eye problem, and that's why I got some marks being cut around. I got eye problem. I could not see, my eyes were itching and all these kind of things. And I remember missing school for a while as they're trying to get medication for me and all these kind of things. But then that was a little bit tough for me as a child, having to experience this kind of thinking. But then until I met to understand that the effects of cooking with this open fuel is what caused all these other issues that we're facing as a family. And not just for me and where we used to be, but others too. And moreover, in the refugee camp, the small plastic house is so congested. Leave alone the smoke and all this you're getting, but so congested. We used to be unaccompanied children kept in one room, and I remember we used to be 26 in number in that small house, sleeping together. Leave alone now the smoke part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing a little bit about your experience, and that's very common from the families that we've heard. That we've talked to in our programs there as well. So it resonates with the kind of experiences that many people are dealing with, the challenges that they're dealing with in cooking meals, something as simple as cooking food on a daily basis. Alan, I want to ask you next. SCI has been working with local partners in Kenya for several years. What are some of the highlights of that ongoing collaboration?
We have a wonderful partner in Kenya, Eco Impact Hub CBO, and we've been working with them for several years, and number one is their passion to keep doing this work. We run on a pretty tight budget, and that they're able to get this job done of manufacturing solar cookers within Kenya using material that is entirely available within Kenya, so nothing is being imported additionally. And the design that they're using is an open source design that we have on our website so that anyone can refer to these designs. But that they pulled it off year after year, and it's not easy work to get to a refugee camp and distribute the cookers using best practices. So when I say best practices, I want to emphasize a few things. One is the local manufacturing and delivery, but of the cookers to the location. But how to do that in a way that it's going to have a successful result. So a couple ingredients to that is to gather data before and after. So we use a quick needs assessment to identify the households that are most suited for solar cooking and where there would be access to sun and interest. And along with that, there's a follow-up survey to find out what the impacts are from people who are using the solar cooker. And so again, the highlights from working with a local collaborator is really to learn together how to do it right, including using women solar cooking champions from the community, and in this case, women at Kakuma refugee camp who have learned how to solar cook. They have their own experience now, and they can tell their neighbors. They can instruct the new group of participants that join on an annual basis what this has done to their lives, and hence when other women are hearing that from a woman that they trust, who is speaking the same language, who's been able to cook the types of foods that they enjoy, the trust factor is extremely high, and with those kinds of best practices, we are seeing a great amount of success with impact. So I could talk more about the impact, but maybe I'll hold off for right now. But overall reduction in the use of the firewood that Grace was mentioning, which can run out. There's insufficient fuel at the camp, but if a family can bring a solar cooker into their lives, they can cook the food that they have during the time that they are given the rations. So those are the highlights to me. And
Thanks, Alan. I have a follow-up question as well. We've heard a little bit about some of the health concerns, but can you elaborate a little bit more on some of the challenges facing women and girls that rely on polluting fuels and technologies, both in Kakuma and around the world?
yeah, we hear very honest anecdotes from the participants. And so we take this collective voice and we are applying these results to our learnings for how to improve the condition for human beings, for individuals, mostly for women and girls in the camp in this case. So respiratory illnesses by breathing smoke and what that does to a human body has adverse effects that can be avoided through solar cooking, or at least reduced. We're hearing about itchy eyes, much like you were just talking about, Grace. And these are commonly described in the surveys as we do the follow-up surveys. So time and time again, there is gratitude that is shared because people are feeling better. And it's pretty straightforward that their health is being improved. Along with that, people are being honest about the challenges that they go through to get firewood. Collecting wood in the camp takes time, and sometimes if you have to buy it from the local community, which does come into the camp to sell firewood and charcoal, the refugee family may not have money to buy, so often they are bartering food rations. So they're giving some of their food to get more fuel to cook the rest of the food they have. And again, Grace, you were talking about this from your own experience. So we're hearing consistency from within the camp, but these are some of the impacts that are changing because improved health, improved economic situation, and ease of access to fuel. Thanks.
Thanks, Ellen. Grace, I want to turn back to you now and ask you a relatively straightforward question that may have a complicated answer. From your perspective, why is clean cooking a gender issue?
To me, clean cooking is a gender issue because it disproportionately affects a certain gender more than the other. I'll bring this from the point of experience that you find that while the mother is cooking, the children are always sitting around. You know, they're ever sitting around where the mother is. So that inhalation of the smoke does not only just affect the mother being sitting there, but it also affects the children around her. So you find in a household of estimated eight children, 9 people are inhaling the same smoke. You can imagine that health implication. So to me, it's a gender issue because of the number of hours the women spend at the cooking area as compared to men. In my culture, a man is supposed to sit at the far end waiting for the food. So imagine the woman sitting from the time, especially if she's cooking beans. There is beans that cook, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to get cooked. And this woman is sitting there to make sure the firewood or the charcoal is enough to get that beans ready. Compare that hours with the quantity of smoke she's taking. You know? So this to me is a gender issue. And this can be experimented, and we see the real impact that it has more on women than on the men. But also, this also leads to the part to say that it might also affect men because you find the same man who later on go to the same house and spend an entire night there. And this smoke is still hanging somewhere. I remember in Kakuma, we're not just using the firewood that are clean, maybe, because there is clean firewood from the tree, and there are those that are got from the roots of the tree. And those tend to be more poisonous than the one on top. And this is because the family could not get those ones. The trees get exhausted, get finished. And so the women go under the river and look for those which are under the water and the soil and all that kind of thing. So it gets more dangerous. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your perspective. And it's something that we've been hearing time and time again. Clean cooking is a gender issue. It's disproportionately impacting women and girls, and it's something that we're excited to be working together with our collaborators to offer a way to cook food in a new way, or a little bit different way that isn't as familiar. So I want to shift a little bit away from some of the challenges that we've been hearing about and discussing, and I want to talk a little bit more about the solutions. So Alan, how can solar cooking technology help address the challenges that we've been hearing about?
The solar cooker is a very simple device, but it can have huge impacts. And one thing that we talk about and promote at Solar Cookers International is that solar cooking aligns with all 17 SDGs of the Sustainable Development Goals. So SDG 7 is for access to energy, and that's the most obvious one. But certainly, if you look over the SDGs, you can quickly draw connective points to the cooking and food. So hunger, poverty, gender equality, clean water, environment, etc. And one of the things that we're really thrilled about when we collect data from the Adoption and Impact Survey that we run at the camp, in this case, is gathering words and phrases from the participants, from the solar cooks at Kakuma Refugee Camp. And primarily they say, we're saving money. So that's something that a solar cook could do, and that's from the voices of the refugee users. They are less itchy on the eyes, so improved health. And certainly with gender-based violence being a reality that's tied with the cooking context worldwide, that's also mentioned within Kakuma refugee camp, that a solar cooker can have that positive impact as to reduce gender-based violence that's related to the cooking situation. In addition, people are learning through the training for how to use a solar cooker about the far-reaching impacts that are beyond the camp, the environment impacts at large. And this is something that we're really thrilled to hear about, because it's showing that the education within the training program of the solar cooking initiative is working. So people are thinking beyond themselves in this case, but what does cooking do to the planet? And so we're seeing those results in our surveys as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. We're running a little bit short on time, so I wanted to turn back to Grace and ask a more general open-ended question. What are your hopes for COP29, and what are your hopes for the future of cooking in South Sudan?
Basically, the hopes that I have for this COP is the action. I feel that we're no longer here to ask the decision makers or the policy makers, but we are here to seek for actions from them. Actions in financing the clean energy, actions to financing the climate impacts. And my hope also here is that the promises that were made recently will be implemented. So that is something that we feel that at least will give us hope to see the implementations of the promises that were made. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a great point. We hear a lot about big picture negotiations and large sums of money, but here we're talking about the first line or first impacts that people are experiencing. Climate change is affecting people in communities around the world, and clean cooking is one that sometimes gets overlooked. So we're hoping to shine a light or spotlight this particular climate issue. To sort of wrap things up, I just wanted to thank everyone for being here today, here in Baku with us, and for those of you watching at home. I do want to add that Solar Cookers International will be here for the duration of COP. We have a few more press conferences over the next week or so. So if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about the work that we're doing, for example, on Friday we'll have a press conference. Friday we'll have a press conference with some partners in the Central African Republic, where we'll be speaking about a new initiative there. And then we're excited to welcome the chair of the United Nations Climate Technology Center and Network next Tuesday to talk a little bit about solar cooking as a climate technology solution. And then next Thursday with government representatives from Kenya as well. And we do have a few side events scattered throughout our time here, including on Friday, an event we're excited to be joining at the UNIDO Pavilion with Irina, I think. And then our official side event will be on Saturday, and then we'll be premiering a film that provides some testimonial input from those families that we've been talking about. So we were able to collect some footage of some of the families sharing about what their experiences have been like using solar box ovens. So please feel free to join us for any of our events over the rest of COP29. We are available if anybody is interested to talk to us after the press conference. We can talk outside of the press conference room. I also wanted to mention if you're looking for ways to engage with Solar Cookers International, feel free to access our resources online. We host what we refer to as the Solar Cooking Wiki, which is the world's largest information database related to solar cooking. Connect with some of our collaborators. We have information about solar cooking projects that are going on in a number of different countries. There's an opportunity to join SCI's association. You can sign up for more information that we send out regularly. And if you are yourself working on a solar cooking project or initiative, we collect data to help make the case for the impact that solar cooking can have at scale. So please let us know and share that information. And if you are a country representative, consider including solar cooking in your country's nationally determined contribution. This is a way to reduce emissions at the household level, to reduce the amount of smoke that's emitted, which includes carbon dioxide and other emissions. And we encourage also manufacturers to get their devices PEP tested. So please feel free to contact us, get in touch, let us know, and we thank you for your attention and for your time today. Thank you.